I don't know exactly how we're gonna do this, but I'm tired of eating alone, so I'm gonna eat breakfast with you guys.
Thanks.
So, just something interesting I was learning about. That, and I'm not a doctor, I would just like to say that. I'm not a doctor. I'm not giving anybody any advice either. I'm just telling you what happened in my situation. Okay? Just as long as we're clear about that. In fact, I wouldn't do what I would do in my situation. I would think independently. Because every case is different. Okay? I already prayed. So, I knew this guy. And he had cancer. Prostate. And, they'll remove the prostate. Without the prostate, an erection isn't possible without the prostate. Definitely orgasm is unachievable because your dick won't even get hard. However, in this day and age, they do surgeries now that are, I think it's called nerve saving. So you can still get an erection, you just won't be able to orgasm. So sometimes, like what happened to my friend, after the surgery, compounded with, a surgery that is removing your prostate. Okay, first off, you have cancer. That is a huge, you're dying. Somebody just told you you're walking out, you're on your way out. You're on your way out. Make right what you gotta make right, because you're about to see the Lord. And, along with, the cancer, if you have a rough home life, or if you have a lot of stress in the jobs that you do, so compounded stress on and for men, their penis, it's a lot. I mean, rightly so. I'm down with that. I am. I ride with that. Shave your... Anyway, no jokes. And, so imagine, you know for sure you'll never orgasm again. That in itself would probably be a fucking downer, I tell you that, man. I mean, sex is good on its own. It is. Absolutely, I would do it. Not with anybody, but you know what I mean. Anyway, that's messing me up in my head. I'm trying to, be in somebody's shoes, thinking about how that might feel for a man. And, I just don't have any real words for how might that, do something to your psyche. Follow me. So, that stress of you're on your way out, right? You're not gonna have an orgasm. So you're I think in my friend's head, he was thinking, I'm never gonna be a man again for sure. For real. I'm splattering you. Can't have children. And I know how I felt when I had my hysterectomy. Not being able to have children anymore is very, even at an older age, is still, it has an effect. Saying I'm not quite a woman. You're not quite a man. At least that's probably the devil whispering. It ain't the Lord. What you gonna do, die so that you could go, get rid of my gonads? Anyway, so stress. Let's go to stress, right? I think we've covered enough of that. So what happened to him was right after his surgery and, appropriate time healing and whatever, he couldn't get an erection at all. all. You know? And, what happened was he had met this girl, you know? And he got an erection. He did. I mean, and they had tried medication with the man to give him an erection. It wouldn't work. That's how they knew it was, like, in your head, you know? So, he met that girl and, you know, fuck. Imagine how that would make you feel. Imagine how in love you'd be. Especially if she was in love with you. Fuck. Imagine the power of that. Imagine if fucking, like, I don't know, then that guy was lied to or something. Imagine that for a second. Right? He has to start turning and looking at this chick that gives him an erection. Right? And let's say he tries to go and bone everything in sight, right? Because he's leaving her. He's getting rid of her ass. As soon as he finds somebody else, he's getting rid of her ass. I'm telling you. So, you know, different women come along and have certain qualities or traits of, you know, that love of his. And, you know, he thinks, oh, you know, and every time it just will not work. It just doesn't work for him. So what does he do but not think of that, you know, the woman he can have an erection with as some kind of, like, gift, an angel sent from God, you know? No. She's the devil. She's the reason that I can't get it up for everybody else. You couldn't get it up after the surgery. How was the girl responsible? That's what I asked my friend. I asked him. You couldn't get it up after the surgery. You weren't healed or something. It wasn't like you had gotten an erection before her, right? And then after her, you started like, no, you couldn't get one at all. At all. With medication. What the fuck? And then you blame that girl? Do you see my confusion in that? Do we see how I might be a bit concerned about, like, what you're being told and believing? Like, how could you believe that? That's what I asked him. How could you believe that? He said, you know what? I don't know. He said, now that I look back on it, just talked to him the other day. He said, now that I look back on it, it doesn't seem like I should have, but I don't know why I did. It was just something that was like, I believed, I don't know why I believed it, but I did wholeheartedly. There's a lot of other things I wholeheartedly believed in that wasn't true. And I can't believe I didn't see it. That's what he told me. I said, my God, you must be a victim of narcissistic abuse. He said, I was. If he would have had a conversation. Bye, Collective. Remember, I'm not a fucking doctor. But I am a girlfriend. Or at least I used to be.